It started like any other night. I was home alone, watching TV when I heard it, a faint scratching sound coming from the walls. At first, I thought it was just the pipes. Old houses make strange noises. But then the scratching grew louder, more insistent, and it sounded like whatever was making it was getting closer. I set down my remote control and strained to listen. There was no mistaking it now. Someone or something was moving around directly behind the wall in the living room, just on the other side of the drywall. I tried to tell myself it was nothing, just my imagination playing tricks. But deep down, I knew better. I felt a cold dread settle in my stomach. I lived alone in an old house on the outskirts of town. I'd come to love its creaky floors and drafty windows. But lately, strange things had been happening. Unexplainable occurrences that I'd initially dismissed as mere quirks of an aging home were now piling up, casting long shadows of unease across my once peaceful abode. The scratching continued unabated, echoing through the stillness of the night. Curiosity, or perhaps morbid fascination, got the better of me. I grabbed a flashlight and followed the sound. It seemed to be coming from the basement door. The basement was a place I generally avoided. Its heavy wooden door had a rusted handle that made a horrible screeching sound every time it was open, and the stairs leading down into its darkness were perpetually shrouded in a thick layer of dust. I hadn't opened that door in months. It had been my late father's domain, filled with his tools and memories that I couldn't bear to sort through. But now, drawn by an unseen force, I found myself reaching for the doorknob. My hand trembled slightly as I turned it. The door swung inward with a loud bang, as if warning me to stay away. But I pushed on, my flashlight beam cutting through the gloom. As I descended the stairs, each step creaked ominously beneath my weight. The air grew colder, heavier, carrying the scent of damp earth and something else, something faintly metallic that made my nostrils burn. At the bottom of the stairs, I saw it, a small hole in the wall. It wasn't there before. I was sure of it. The hole was perfectly round, like a tooth-sized divot taken out of the concrete. A shiver ran down my spine. What had made this? Was it some kind of animal? But if so, why had it made such a clean hole? My curiosity, or perhaps desperation for an answer, compelled me to take a step closer. That's when I saw it move again. Whatever was inside, the hole stirred, sending a spray of dirt and dust, particles flying. Fear threatened to overwhelm me, but I forced myself to lean closer, desperate for a better look. That's when the eyes stared back at me. They were glowing, reptilian slits set in a face that shouldn't have been there. This thing wasn't an animal. It wasn't human, and worst of all, it had been living here longer than I had. A strangled scream caught in my throat as I stumbled backwards. I didn't want to see it again. I didn't need to. Knowing it was there was more than enough. Yet despite my terror, a part of me, a foolish, reckless part, wanted to know more. Who or what was it? Where did it come from? How could it have been hiding in my house for who knows how long without me noticing? I stood frozen, torn between primal fear and morbid curiosity. The creature inside the wall sensed my hesitation, sensing perhaps my desire for answers. It spoke. Its voice was a hollow rasp like rocks grinding together, and yet somehow sounded eerily familiar. "Who are you?" it whispered, the sound slithering through the hole like a snake. I stared at it, unable to tear my gaze away. "Who are you?" it asked again, its voice echoing in the confined space. The question hung between us, unanswered. The silence stretched, broken only by the drip of water somewhere in the darkness. Then, as quickly as it had appeared, it vanished. The eyes, the face, the hole, all gone. Had I imagined it? Was I losing my mind? I wanted to convince myself that I'd made it all up, that my mind had played tricks on me in the darkness. But deep down, I knew I wouldn't find peace until I uncovered the truth. I spent days searching the internet, poring over books on local history and folklore, even consulting with paranormal investigators. But whatever I found, I couldn't prove. I couldn't show anyone. And so my discovery remained a secret, known only to me and the darkness that cradled it. Then one day, it happened again. I was home alone, working at my desk when I heard it, a scratching sound in the wall. The same scratching. My blood ran cold. Had it returned? Was it still there? I stood up abruptly and rushed to the basement door. Was I imagining it, or was the scratching coming from inside? Cautiously, I placed my ear against the cold, hard surface of the door. Yes, it was definitely on the other side, and it sounded closer this time. Suddenly, the scratching stopped. Was it gone? Had it left me in peace? Or was it simply waiting, planning, plotting its next move? I couldn't tell. But something inside me, some primal instinct, told me to leave, to get out while I still could. I didn't waste a second more. I fled the house, not daring to look back. As I drove away, I glanced in the rearview mirror. The house loomed in the distance, dark and silent. I tried to shake off the feeling of dread that had been clinging to me like a shroud. But even as I turned toward the bright lights of the city, I could feel its oppressive presence weighing me down. The scratches in the wall remained a mystery, an enigma that gnawed at my sanity. And though I tried to move on, To bury the memory of that night in the recesses of my mind, it never truly let me go. Sometimes at night, when the wind howls and the rain lashes against the window pane, I swear I can still hear it. I moved out of that house the moment I could, desperate to escape the suffocating grip of fear that had seeped into my bones. But the memories lingered, refusing to be erased. Now, years later, I still find myself haunted by the specter of that night. The scratching in the wall, a constant refrain in my nightmares. And sometimes when the silence of the night is too profound, when the absence of sound becomes deafening, I hear it again, the faint scratching in the wall. A sound that promises nothing good. And I can't help but wonder, is it still there, waiting?